Commander Zekthora stood on the bridge of his warship, staring at the display screen with satisfaction. His 4 eyes gleamed with excitement as he watched the small dot representing the human vessel. It was alone, moving through neutral space like a fish swimming in open water. A perfect opportunity, he said to his second officer. His voice carried the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. The Velkari Empire had joined the Galactic Council only 3 years ago. They were proud warriors, and Zekthora was one of their best commanders. He had studied the files on every council species, including the humans. What he read made him laugh. These humans had only been traveling in space for 80 years. 80 years. His own people had been among the stars for over 6,000 years. "Sir, we have a message from High Arbiter Qualmesh," said his communications officer. The young Velkari looked nervous. "Put it through," Zekthora ordered. The screen flickered and an ancient face appeared. High Arbiter Qualmesh belonged to the Archon species, one of the oldest races in the galaxy. His skin looked like old leather and his eyes held the weight of thousands of years of wisdom. "Commander Zekthora," the old Archon said slowly, "I understand you are preparing to scan the human vessel." "That is correct, High Arbiter," Zekthora replied. "It is standard military protocol. We must know what passes through this region." The old alien was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke in a soft, serious voice. "Commander, I strongly advise against this action. Do not scan the human ship." Zekthora felt his pride rise up like fire in his chest. Was this ancient creature telling him how to do his job? "With respect, High Arbiter, the Velkari do not fear a single human ship. We have every right to scan vessels in neutral space." "This is not about rights or fear," Qualmesh said. His old eyes looked sad. "This is about wisdom. Please, Commander, trust me on this matter." "What could possibly happen from a simple scan?" Zekthora asked. He could not keep the mockery out of his voice. The High Arbiter sighed. "The younger races always learn this lesson the hard way. I cannot stop you, Commander, but I tried to warn you. May fortune protect you." The screen went dark. Zekthora turned to his crew and laughed. "The old ones see ghosts everywhere. They have become weak with age." His crew laughed with him, though some looked uncertain. "Sir, sensors show the human ship is a military vessel," his science officer reported. "It is called the UHSV Indomitable. Its captain is Sarah Chen." "Prepare the deep scan," Zekthora ordered. "I want to know everything about that ship. Weapons, shields, power source, crew complement, everything." His tactical officer began typing commands into the console. "Sir, I'm detecting something strange. Several other ships in the area are moving away from us at high speed." "What species?" Zekthora asked. "Multiple species, sir. I count Gentari traders, a Kralix cargo hauler, and 2 Mindari scout ships. They are all leaving the area." Zekthora frowned. Why would so many different species suddenly leave? It made no sense. Perhaps they detected a solar storm or some natural phenomenon. "Continue with the scan, sir. We are receiving a transmission from the human ship," the communications officer announced. "Let me hear it," Zekthora said. A woman's voice came through the speakers. She spoke in clear, calm tones. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Human Space Vessel Indomitable. We have detected that you are preparing to scan our ship. This is a formal warning. Do not proceed with your scan. If you continue, we will consider it a hostile action." Zekthora smiled. "Respond with standard protocol. Tell them we have every right to scan vessels in neutral space under Galactic Council regulations." The message was sent. A moment later, Captain Chen's voice returned. This time, her tone was colder. "Commander Zekthora, I know who you are. I know the Velkari are new to the Council. I am giving you one more warning because I do not want an incident. Do not scan this ship. You will regret it." "Threats from a human," Zekthora muttered. He looked at his crew. "Proceed with the full military scan. Show them that the Velkari bow to no one." "Yes, sir." His tactical officer began the scanning sequence. Zekthora watched as bright lines of energy reached out from his ship toward the human vessel. The scan would take about 5 minutes to complete. It would give them a detailed map of every system on the human warship. He would show these arrogant humans that they could not intimidate the Velkari Empire. "Sir, scan is at 20%, the tactical officer reported. "Excellent. Maintain full power." 40%, sir." Zekthora felt triumphant. Nothing was happening. The old Archon had been worried about nothing. These humans were all talk and no action. 60%, sir." "Sir," his communications officer interrupted. I am receiving an unusual number of tight beam transmissions. They are being sent between ships and nearby systems. The encryption is extremely complex, but I can identify the sources. They are all different species, and they are all talking about us. Let them talk, Zekthora said. Soon they will know that the Velkari are not afraid. 80%, sir. Almost complete. Prepare to analyze the data as soon as it comes through. 100%, sir. Scan complete. Zekthora smiled. Excellent work. Science Officer Priltok, begin analysis. His science officer, a thin Velkari with 6 fingers, began working on his console. The bridge was quiet except for the soft beeping of instruments. Zekthora waited, expecting to hear about primitive human technology and weak defenses. Then Priltok made a strange sound. It was almost like a gasp. What is it? Zekthora asked. Priltok's face had turned a pale shade of green. In Velkari, that meant fear. Deep fear. Science Officer, report, Zekthora commanded. Priltok looked up from his console. His hands were shaking. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. Commander, what have we done? Zekthora felt a cold sensation run down his spine. He had been a warrior for 30 years. He had fought in 15 major battles. He had never seen Priltok look frightened. The science officer was the bravest member of his crew. Explain yourself, Zekthora demanded. But his own voice sounded less certain now. Priltok's fingers moved over his console, bringing up the scan data on the main screen. What Zekthora saw made his blood run cold. The power readings were wrong. Very wrong. The human ship's reactor showed energy signatures that should not be possible. The compartmentalization was strange, with sealed sections that the scan could not penetrate. And there was something else, something that made no sense at all. Sir, Priltok said, his voice trembling, the scan is showing feedback. It is as if the human ship is scanning us back. But that is not possible. You cannot reverse a scan beam. It violates basic physics. Check your instruments, Zekthora ordered. There must be an error. But even as he said it, alarms began to sound throughout the bridge. Red lights flashed on multiple consoles. Sir, his tactical officer shouted. I am detecting unauthorized access attempts on our computer systems. Something is trying to break through our security protocols. Zekthora stared at the screen in growing horror. The human ship had not moved. It had not fired a single weapon. But somehow, impossibly, his own scan had opened a door. And something from the human ship was coming through. On the main screen, a new message appeared in simple text. You were warned. Captain Chen. 30 minutes had passed since the scan. 30 minutes that felt like 30 hours. Commander Zekthora stood in the war room of his flagship, surrounded by his senior officers. Every screen on the walls showed red warning symbols. The mood in the room was dark and heavy with fear. Explain it to me again, Zekthora said to Science Officer Priltok. His voice was quiet now, nothing like the confident tone he had used before. Explain how this is possible. Priltok stood in front of a large display screen. His hand still shook as he pointed to the diagrams. Sir, when we scanned the human ship, our scan beam created a quantum entanglement between our systems and theirs. This is normal. Every scan does this. But the connection is supposed to be one way only. But it is not one way, Zekthora said. No, sir. The humans have designed their ships to turn that connection into a two-way bridge. The moment our scan touched their systems, their computer woke up. It used the quantum entanglement as a pathway. It came back through our own scan beam. One of the other officers, a female named Kreshta, spoke up. That should not be possible. The amount of computing power required would be massive. Are human computers really that advanced? Priltok shook his head. No, Commander Kreshta. Human computers are not more advanced than ours. But they think differently. They use something called artificial intelligence. It is a computer program that can learn and adapt. And this particular AI was specifically designed for cyber warfare. Zekthora felt sick. What has it done to our systems? It has infiltrated 17 of our 32 ships, Priltok said. The number seemed to hit everyone in the room like a physical blow. It has copied our military communication codes. It has mapped the positions of all our vessels in this sector. It has accessed our tactical databases. Sir, it knows everything about our fleet's capabilities. Can we stop it? Zekthora asked. Can we cut the connection? We tried, sir. 6 times. But the AI has already established itself in our systems. It has copied itself across multiple ships through our own communication network. Even if we shut down every computer, it would still exist in our backup systems. Kreshta stepped forward. Then we fight. We destroy the human ship before it can use this information. No, Priltok said quickly. That would be the worst thing we could do. The AI has already transmitted all the data back to human space. Destroying their ship would only make the humans angry. And sir, there is something else you need to know. Zekthora closed his eyes. What else? The AI is not just stealing information. It is leaving things behind, backdoors, hidden programs. Sir, even if we clean our systems, the humans will be able to access them again whenever they want. The room was silent. Zekthora thought about his proud speeches just an hour ago. He thought about how he had laughed at the High Arbiter's warning. He felt like a fool. A chime sounded. The communications officer's voice came through the speaker. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the human ship. Captain Chen wishes to speak with you directly. Zekthora wanted to refuse. He wanted to hide. But he was still a Velkari commander, and they did not run from their mistakes. Put her through. The main screen changed. Captain Sarah Chen appeared. She was a human woman with short dark hair and calm eyes. She wore a blue uniform with various symbols that Zekthora did not understand. She did not look angry. She looked patient, like a teacher waiting for a student to learn a lesson. Commander Zekthora, she said. I tried to warn you. I know, Zekthora said. There was no point in lying or making excuses. What have you done to my fleet? What you forced me to do, Captain Chen replied. You scanned my ship. Your scan created a quantum link between our systems. My AI specialist, Warrant Officer James Park, used that link to access your network. He is currently 17 layers deep into your tactical database. 17 layers. Zekthora felt dizzy. Their military network only had 20 layers of security. Yes, and before you ask, your firewalls and security protocols are impressive for most species. But humans have been hacking computer systems since we invented them. We have had cyber warfare for over 100 years. We know every trick, every weakness, every backdoor. Why? Zekthora asked. Why would you design your ships this way? Why turn a defensive scan into an attack? Captain Chen smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Because we learned a long time ago that the best defense is a good offense. On Earth, we had nations that spent decades spying on each other. We learned that information is the most powerful weapon. When we came to the stars, we brought that knowledge with us. But you have only been in space for 80 years, Zekthora protested. 80 years, Captain Chen agreed. But we have been at war with each other for 10,000 years. Commander, humans are very good at war. We have studied it, refined it, perfected it. When we built our first warships, we asked ourselves, what would we do if we were the enemy? And one of the first things any military does is scan unknown vessels. So we turned that inevitable action into a weapon. Zekthora looked at his officers. They all looked as shocked as he felt. You planned for this. Before you even met us, you knew someone would scan your ships. We calculated that 43% of species we encountered would scan first and ask questions later, Captain Chen said. You are the 14th species to make this mistake. You will not be the last. A new voice came through the communication channel. It was younger and male. Commander Zekthora, this is Warrant Officer James Park. I am the one currently inside your systems. I wanted you to know something. What? Zekthora asked. Your science officer told you I am 17 layers deep. That was true 30 minutes ago. I am now on layer 19. I have access to your personal files, your command codes, and your fleet deployment schedules. I also found your contingency plans. Zekathora's blood went cold. The contingency plans were top secret. I see that you plan to share the data from this scan with 3 allied empires, Park continued. His voice was casual, almost friendly. The Torvelian Federation, the Krell Union, and the Nexus Coalition. You were going to sell them information about human ship designs. That was before... Zekthora started. I know, Park interrupted. That was before you realized what a mistake you made. But here is the thing, Commander. Your communication network is connected to those 3 empires. You send them encrypted messages every day. And for the last 30 minutes, I have been using your own communication system to plant the same programs in their networks. Zekthora sat down heavily. You used us to attack our allies? I used your own plans against you, Park corrected. You scanned us 6 hours ago, counting from when you started powering up your scanners. We have owned your entire alliance for 5 hours and 47 minutes. Your scan beam gave me access to you. Your own communication systems gave me access to everyone you talked to. Captain Chen leaned forward. Commander, I need you to understand something. We did not want this. We warned you. Multiple species warned you, but you did not listen. Now you have a choice to make. What choice? Zakthora asked quietly. You can try to fight us and we will destroy your military capabilities without firing a single shot. Or you can negotiate and we can fix this situation in a way that benefits both of us. Zakthora looked at the screen, at the calm human captain and her invisible cyber warrior, who had torn through his fleet's defenses like they were made of paper. He thought about his pride, his certainty, his foolish confidence. I will negotiate, he said. Smart choice, Captain Chen replied. Now let us talk about terms. The Galactic Council chamber was a massive room that could hold representatives from 500 different species. Today it was nearly full. News of the Velkari incident had spread across the galaxy in a matter of hours. High Arbiter Qualmesh stood at the center of the room. His ancient voice carried to every corner without technology to amplify it. Around him, hundreds of beings watched and listened. We are here because the Velkari Empire made a choice, Qualmesh began. They chose to ignore centuries of wisdom. They chose to scan a human warship. And now they pay the price for that choice. A Velkari representative stood up. His name was Ambassador Thralkor, and he looked ashamed. High Arbiter, my people did not know. We are new to the Council. Why was there no official warning about scanning human vessels? Qualmesh looked at the ambassador with kind eyes. Because young species never believe warnings. They must experience truth themselves. But since you ask, I will tell you why the wise do not scan human ships. I will tell you 3 stories. 3 lessons that cost blood, fear, and sanity. The room became very quiet. Even the species who knew these stories wanted to hear them again. The first story happened 20 years ago, Qualmesh said. It involved the Jerdar, a peaceful scientific species. They encountered a human colony ship heading toward a new world. The Jerdar were curious. They wanted to know about human technology, so they scanned the ship. Qualmesh pressed a control and a holographic image appeared in the center of the room. It showed a large human ship and a smaller Jerdar science vessel. What the Jerdar found terrified them. The human colony ship's main reactor was not just a power source. It was a barely contained fusion bomb. The humans had designed it so that with a simple command, the reactor could overload. It would destroy the ship and everything within 10,000 kilometers. Murmurs of shock spread through the chamber. Several species shifted uncomfortably. The Jerdar contacted the human captain immediately, Qualmesh continued. They asked why any species would build such a dangerous system. Do you know what the human captain said? The room was silent. The captain said, We calculated that 43% of species we meet will scan us. We wanted to make sure that scanning has consequences. Our ship may be full of civilians, but if you threaten us, we become a weapon. Qualmesh let that sink in. The Jerdar asked if the humans would really destroy their own ship, their own families. The captain replied, If it means taking our enemies with us? Yes, we call it mutually assured destruction. We have used that strategy on Earth for centuries. The Jerdar left that region of space immediately. They have never scanned another human vessel. This is the first lesson. Humans will turn anything, even their own destruction, into a weapon. Qualmesh pressed another control. A new holographic image appeared. The second story happened 15 years ago. The Kralix, a merchant species, encountered a human cargo ship. The Kralix wanted to scan the cargo for tariff assessment. This is normal procedure in many systems. They did not expect what they found. The hologram showed the inside of a human cargo ship. Sealed compartments glowed red in the scan image. The scan detected sealed containers marked with biohazard symbols. The Kralix demanded to know what the humans were transporting. The human captain was honest. She told them the truth. Qualmesh paused for effect. The cargo holds contained samples of deadly diseases from Earth, smallpox, anthrax, Ebola, and several engineered plagues that the humans had created during their biological warfare programs. Gasps and sounds of disgust came from many species in the chamber. The Kralix asked why any species would transport such horror through space. The human captain explained, Every human military vessel carries biological warfare samples. If we are boarded by hostile forces, we have protocols. If we are losing a battle, we have options. You scanned our ship. Now you know what will happen if you attack us. One of the sealed containers began to leak during the scan. The vibrations from the scan beam caused a microfracture. The Kraliks had to evacuate their ship and decontaminate for 3 months. 7 Kraliks became ill. 2 died. Qualmesh looked around the room. The humans paid compensation. They apologized. But they did not stop carrying those samples. This is the second lesson. Humans keep nightmares in their ships and they are not afraid to use them. The third story, Qualmesh said, and his voice became even more serious, is the most disturbing. 10 years ago, the Mindari, a powerful psionic species, decided to scan a human military vessel. But the Mindari did not scan technology. They scanned minds. The hologram changed again, showing strange, swirling patterns. The Mindari have telepathic abilities. They can read thoughts, feel emotions, understand intentions. They scanned the crew of a human destroyer. 3 Mindari telepaths connected their minds to the scan. What they found broke them. Qualmesh pressed another control. Medical reports appeared in the hologram, showing brain scans and psychological evaluations. The first telepath experienced what humans call cognitive hazards. The human crew had been trained to think in specific patterns. These patterns were designed to be harmful to telepathic scanning. Imagine thoughts that are like poison to a mind reader. The second telepath encountered something worse. Human military personnel receive neural augmentation. Their brains are modified with technology. When a telepath tries to read them, they encounter what humans call hostile architecture. Their minds are designed to hurt anyone who tries to read them. The third telepath went deepest. She found memories of Earth. She saw the history of human warfare. 10,000 years of violence. Millions of dead. Cities destroyed. Weapons that could burn the atmosphere. Plagues that killed billions. She saw humanity's darkest moments, and she understood that humans remember all of it. Qualmesh's voice became sad. All 3 telepaths went insane. 1 recovered after 2 years of treatment. 1 will never recover. 1 took her own life. The Mindari sent a formal protest to the human government. The humans apologized. Then they said something interesting. The room waited. They said, "We did not hide our history from you. You chose to look. What you saw is what we are. We are a species that survived 10,000 years of war against ourselves. We are sorry your people were hurt, but we gave you warning. We told you not to scan." Qualmesh turned slowly, looking at all the species in the chamber. This is the third lesson and the most important one. Humans do not hide what they are. They evolved on a death world. Everything on their planet tried to kill them. Viruses, bacteria, predators, weather, other humans. They survived by becoming more dangerous than anything that hunted them. When humans came to the stars, they brought that survival instinct with them. Every human ship is designed with one principle: make the enemy regret attacking. Every system, every weapon, every protocol is meant to turn defense into offense. Ambassador Thralkor stood again. "High Arbiter, why does the Council allow this? Why do we permit humans to build such dangerous ships?" Qualmesh smiled, but it was a tired smile. "Because, Ambassador, the humans have never attacked anyone without provocation. They defend their territory. They protect their people. They honor their treaties. Yes, they are dangerous, but they are only dangerous to those who threaten them. The Council established an unwritten rule centuries ago, when we first met humans. The rule is simple: do not scan human vessels. Do not threaten human ships. Do not assume they think like we do. If you follow these rules, humans are excellent allies. If you break them," Qualmesh gestured to the Velkari ambassador, "if you break them, you learn what Commander Zekthora is learning now. Humans are the only species that evolved surrounded by things trying to kill them. They never stopped thinking that way. They never will." Commander Zekthora had never felt so small. He sat in his command chair, looking at the communication screen where Captain Sarah Chen waited patiently. Behind her, Zekthora could see parts of the human ship's bridge. It looked surprisingly normal. Clean. Organized. Not like the lair of cyber warriors who had just destroyed his fleet's security. "Let me explain your situation," Captain Chen said. Her voice was calm and professional. "Warrant Officer Park has full access to 35% of your fleet's tactical systems. He has copied your military communication codes. He knows the positions of all your ships. He has your command protocols and your security procedures. More importantly, he has planted what we call sleeper protocols in your systems." "What are sleeper protocols?" Zekthora asked, though part of him did not want to know. A young human man appeared next to Captain Chen on the screen. He had dark hair and wore a different uniform. Commander Zek-Thora, I am Warrant Officer James Park. I am the one inside your systems. Think of sleeper protocols as hidden programs. They are sleeping now, doing nothing, but I can wake them up anytime I want, from anywhere in the galaxy. What would they do if you woke them? Zek-Thora felt sick asking the question. Anything I program them to do, Park replied. His tone was casual, almost friendly. I could shut down your weapons. I could disable your shields. I could make your navigation systems give false readings. I could even make your ships broadcast their positions to your enemies. The Velkari Empire is effectively compromised. Zek-Thora looked at his science officer, Priltok. Is this true? Can he really do all of this? Priltok nodded slowly. Yes, Commander. I have been analyzing what he left behind. The programs are extremely sophisticated. They hide themselves in our backup systems. Even if we wipe every computer clean and start over, the programs would survive. They are like a virus that knows how to avoid the cure. Captain Chen leaned forward. Commander, I do not want this situation any more than you do. Believe it or not, maintaining access to your systems is work. It takes time and resources. I would rather have a peaceful relationship with the Velkari Empire. So I'm going to offer you a deal. What kind of deal? Zek-Thora asked. We will remove the programs from your systems. All of them. Warrant Officer Park will clean your network completely, but in exchange you must agree to 3 conditions. Zek-Thora felt a small hope. What are the conditions? First, your empire must issue a formal apology to the Earth government. You scanned our ship without permission. You ignored our warnings. You must acknowledge that mistake publicly. That would be humiliating, but Zek-Thora knew he had no choice. I understand. What is the second condition? Second, the Velkari Empire must sign a technology-sharing agreement with humanity. Nothing that would compromise your security, but we want access to your shield technology, and you can have access to our communications encryption. Zek-Thora thought about this. Their shield technology was advanced, but not a military secret, and better encryption would actually help them. That seems fair. And the third condition? Captain Chen's expression became very serious. Third, the Velkari Empire must formally recognize that human space is sovereign territory. You will not send ships into our systems without permission. You will not scan our vessels. You will treat our borders with respect. If you agree to these 3 conditions, we will remove all our programs and restore your systems. Zek-Thora looked at his officers. They all nodded. These terms were generous, considering what the humans could have demanded. I agree, Zek-Thora said. On behalf of the Velkari Empire, I agree to all 3 conditions. Good, Captain Chen said. She gestured, and Warrant Officer Park moved to a console. Officer Park will begin the extraction process now. It will take about 6 hours. During that time, I need you to not interfere with his work. Can you do that? Yes, Zek-Thora promised. For the next 6 hours, Zek-Thora and his officers watched as Park worked. The young human moved through their systems like a ghost. He explained what he was doing in simple terms, teaching them as he worked. Here is one of the sleeper protocols, Park said, showing them code on their screens. See how it hides in your backup system? It pretends to be part of your diagnostic software. Your computers think it is supposed to be there. Priltok studied the code with fascination. This is elegant. How did you learn to write programs like this? Park smiled. I have been hacking since I was 12 years old. On Earth, we have competitions. Young people try to break into secure systems for practice. The best hackers get recruited by the military. I won 3 national championships before I joined the Space Force. You celebrate hacking? Priltok sounded shocked. We celebrate skill, Park corrected. Hacking is a skill like any other. It can be used for good or bad. I use it to protect human ships and human people. Today I am using it to clean your systems. Same skill, different purpose. As Park worked, Zek-Thora found himself asking questions. Warrant Officer Park, may I ask you something personal? Sure, Commander. Why are humans so paranoid? Why do... You see everything as a potential threat? Park stopped typing and looked at the screen. His expression became thoughtful. Do you know about Earth, Commander? Our home world? I know it is a Class 3 planet. Moderate temperatures, oxygen atmosphere, abundant water. That is the science description, Park said. But Earth is not moderate. It is a death world. We have viruses that can kill you in hours. We have bacteria that eat flesh. We have animals with venom that stops your heart. We have weather that can destroy cities. We have volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes. For 200,000 years, everything on Earth tried to kill us. He paused, then continued. And then we survived all of that. We became the top predator. And you know what we did? We spent the next 10,000 years trying to kill each other. We invented thousands of ways to murder our own species. Swords, guns, bombs, chemical weapons, biological weapons, nuclear weapons. We got very, very good at war. But you made it to space, Zekthora said. Surely that changed you. Park shook his head. Commander, we have been in space for 80 years. That is nothing. That is like asking if a Velkari warrior would forget his training after a single day of peace. Our instincts are survival instincts. They do not go away just because we left Earth. They just adapt. Priltok spoke up. So when you designed your ships, you thought like prey thinking about predators? No, Park said firmly. We thought like predators thinking about other predators. We assumed that other species would be dangerous. We assumed they would scan us, study us, maybe attack us. So we built our ships to make scanning dangerous. We turned every defensive measure into an offensive weapon. It is what we do. It is what we have always done. Does that not exhaust you? Zekthora asked. Always being ready for war? Park smiled, but it was a sad smile. Yes, Commander, it exhausts us. But it also keeps us alive. And until we know for certain that the galaxy is safe, we will stay exhausted. 5 hours and 40 minutes after he started, Park announced that the extraction was complete. All sleeper protocols removed, Commander. Your systems are clean. Well, mostly clean. Mostly. Zekthora felt his fear return. I left one thing behind, Park admitted. A detector. It is small. It does not do anything except watch. If you ever scan another human ship, this detector will activate. Every human vessel in the galaxy will know instantly. And Commander, next time we will not be so generous. Zekthora nodded slowly. I understand. We will not make this mistake again. Captain Chen appeared on the screen again. Commander Zekthora, this has been an educational experience for both of us. I hope the Velkari Empire will remember this lesson. Humans can be excellent allies, but we are terrible enemies. I will make sure everyone knows, Zekthora promised. 6 months had passed since the incident. The story had spread across the entire galaxy, changing and growing with each telling. Some species said the humans had destroyed the entire Velkari fleet without firing a shot. Others said the Velkari commander had been driven insane. The truth was less dramatic but more important. In the Galactic Council chambers, a formal ceremony was taking place. The Velkari Empire had just signed a mutual defense treaty with humanity. Ambassador Thralkor and the human ambassador shook hands while cameras recorded the moment for history. But the real meeting happened later. In a quiet room away from the crowds, Admiral Liu Feng sat across from High Arbiter Qualmesh. The human admiral was an older woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had commanded human fleets for 30 years. The ancient Archon looked at her with curiosity. I wanted to meet you, Qualmesh said, to understand humans better. I am happy to talk, Admiral Liu replied. What would you like to know? Why do humans see everything as a battlefield? Qualmesh asked. Even peaceful interactions, even diplomatic meetings. You always seem ready for war. Admiral Liu was quiet for a moment, thinking about her answer. High Arbiter, let me tell you about Earth. Most species evolved on worlds where they had natural predators. Dangerous, yes, but not overwhelming. Your people, the Archons, evolved on a world with large herbivores and a few carnivores. Am I correct? Yes, Qualmesh confirmed. Earth was different. On Earth, everything was a predator. Bacteria that ate us from inside. Viruses that turned our bodies against us. Parasites that controlled our minds. Insects that carried diseases. Animals that hunted us. Plants that poisoned us. weather that froze us or burned us. Earth did not just have predators. Earth was a predator. Qualmesh listened carefully. But you survived. We did more than survive, Admiral Liu said. We learned. We learned that being alert keeps you alive. We learned that preparing for danger prevents death. We learned that assuming the worst helps you survive the worst. These lessons became instinct. They became part of how we think. But surely after reaching space, after meeting peaceful species, those instincts should fade? Admiral Liu shook her head. High Arbiter, humans have been in space for 80 years. Your people have been among the stars for 800,000 years. To you, 80 years seems like a long time. To us, it is nothing. It is less than a single human lifetime. My grandmother was born before humans left Earth. She remembers when we were still planet-bound. Our instincts do not change in 80 years. Will they ever change? Qualmesh asked. The Admiral thought about this question for a long time. Honestly, I do not know. Maybe in 10,000 years, humans will be different. Maybe we will relax. Maybe we will stop seeing threats everywhere. But I wonder if that would be wise. Why? Because the galaxy is dangerous, High Arbiter. You know this. There are species that would conquer others if they could. There are pirates and criminals. There are unexplored regions where unknown threats wait. Humans are ready for all of this because we never stop expecting danger. Is that paranoid? Yes. Does it keep us alive? Also yes, Qualmesh nodded slowly. I think I understand. Your aggression is not a flaw. It is your strength. Exactly, Admiral Liu said. Other species had 800,000 years to develop slowly, peacefully. Humans went from caves to starships in 200,000 years. We did it by being aggressive, by being paranoid, by never stopping to develop new weapons and defenses. It is not pretty, but it works. And the scanning incident with the Velkari? Admiral Liu smiled. That was predictable. We knew someone would scan us eventually. Young species always do. They want to understand us. They want to measure our strength. So we made sure that scanning itself becomes a lesson. The Velkari learned without anyone dying. I consider that a success. You are a teacher who uses fear, Qualmesh observed. Sometimes fear is the best teacher. The Admiral replied. The Velkari will never forget what happened. Neither will the dozens of other species who heard the story. They will think twice before threatening a human ship. And because they think twice, everyone stays alive. Is that so terrible? Qualmesh was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. Admiral Liu Feng, I have lived for 12,000 years. I have seen countless species rise and fall. I have studied war and peace across millennia. And I will tell you something I have never told a human before. What is that? The galaxy needs humans. We need species that remember danger. We need warriors who never relax. Most council species have become comfortable. We have forgotten what it means to fight for survival. Humans remember. You keep the rest of us alert. You remind us that peace must be defended. Admiral Liu looked surprised. That is kind of you to say. It is not kindness. It is truth. Qualmesh stood up slowly, his ancient bones creaking. But I have one request, Admiral. Yes? Please teach your people to use their strength wisely. Fear is a powerful tool, but it can become a weapon that harms the user. Humans have the potential to be either the galaxy's greatest defenders or its greatest threat. The choice is yours. Admiral Liu stood and offered her hand. Qualmesh took it in his own aged grip. I will remember your words, High Arbiter. I promise you that humanity will try to be worthy of the trust you place in us. Meanwhile, in another part of the galaxy, Commander Zekthora was giving a lecture. He stood before 200 young Velkari officers at the military academy. His topic was human doctrine of aggressive defense. I was arrogant, Zekthora told his students. I thought 80 years in space made humans weak or primitive. I learned that age does not equal wisdom. Humans are young, yes, but they are also fierce and clever. They have turned every aspect of their ships into weapons. Scanning them is dangerous. Threatening them is suicidal. Attacking them is madness. A young officer raised his hand. Commander, if humans are so dangerous, why did they let you live? Why did they clean your systems and offer peace? Zekthora smiled. Because humans are not monsters. They are just prepared for monsters. They showed me mercy because I was willing to learn. But make no mistake, if I had continued to threaten them, they would have destroyed my entire fleet without hesitation. Humans value strength, but they also value honor. Show them respect, and they will be excellent allies. Threaten them, and they will be nightmares. Far across the galaxy, on the edge of council space, a new species was making first contact. They called themselves the Torvelians. They were proud warriors, confident in their technology. A Torvelian warship intercepted a human vessel. The human ship broadcast standard greetings and offered to establish diplomatic relations. The Torvelian captain studied the human ship on his scanners. "Begin full military scan," the captain ordered. His second officer looked worried. "Captain, I am receiving multiple warnings from nearby vessels. They are telling us not to scan the human ship." "Warnings from whom?" the captain asked. "Everyone, sir. The Velkari, the Archons, the Jadar, even the Kralix merchants. They are all saying the same thing, do not scan the humans," the captain laughed. "Clearly the humans have spread propaganda to make themselves seem dangerous. We are Torvelians. We fear no one. Continue the scan." Ships from a dozen different species began leaving the area at maximum speed. On the human vessel, UHSV Vigilant, Captain Marcus Torres watched as the Torvelian scan beam reached toward his ship. He sighed and opened a communication channel. "Torvelian vessel, this is Captain Torres of the Vigilant. You are preparing to scan our ship. This is a formal warning. Do not proceed with your scan. If you continue, we will consider it a hostile action." The Torvelian captain's voice came back full of arrogance. "Human vessel, we have the right to scan any ship in neutral space. Your threats do not frighten us." Captain Torres looked at his crew. His cyber warfare specialist, a young lieutenant, smiled and cracked his knuckles. "Same as always, sir." "Same as always, Lieutenant. Prepare countermeasures. Let them scan us. They will learn." High Arbiter Qualmesh, monitoring the situation from his ship nearby, sent one final warning to the Torvelians. And so the cycle continues. The young must always learn from experience. The Torvelian scan reached the human ship. For a moment nothing happened. Then every alarm on the Torvelian bridge began to sound at once, and in the darkness between the stars, humanity once again taught the universe its oldest lesson. Anything that looks at you might be trying to kill you, but humans always strike back first. Jothir pressed his three-fingered hand against the cold glass of the archive window. Below him, the ancient space station rotated slowly in the darkness. It had been abandoned for 500 years, ever since the humans disappeared. He was not supposed to be here. Nobody was supposed to be here. The Galactic Council had made that very clear. The human domain was forbidden territory, 40 light-years of empty space surrounding Earth and all the human colonies. No one could enter. No one could ask why. But Jothir was an archaeologist. Questions were his life. He floated through the abandoned corridors of the station, his suit lights cutting through the darkness. His equipment beeped softly, scanning for anything interesting. Most of the station had been stripped clean centuries ago before the quarantine, but Jothir had studied the old maps. He knew there were sections that other archaeologists had missed. The door to the old storage bay was stuck. Jothir used his cutting torch, and the metal groaned as it gave way. Inside, he found what he was looking for. Data crystals. Hundreds of them, floating in the zero gravity like frozen stars. He grabbed one and plugged it into his scanner. The device struggled for a moment, then began displaying information. Jothir's eyes widened. These were coordinates. Locations inside the Forbidden Zone, inside the human domain. But that was not all. The crystals showed energy readings that should not be possible, power signatures that made no sense according to known science, and warnings. So many warnings, written in 47 different languages. Do not enter. Stay away for your own survival. The quarantine protects you. Jothir felt his hearts beating faster. What had happened to the humans? Why were these warnings so desperate? He copied all the data to his personal storage and left the station quickly. Back on his homeworld of Krylia, Jothir could not stop thinking about what he had found. He spent weeks analyzing the data. The more he learned, the more questions he had. The energy readings came from human colonies, from Earth itself. Something was still active there, something powerful. He knew he needed help. This was too big for one person. He needed a ship and a crew, people who would be willing to break the law. His first recruit was Velkara, a pilot who had lost her license 3 years ago for smuggling. She was bitter about her fall from grace, but her skills were legendary. When Jothir showed her the data, Her eyes lit up with interest. "You want to cross the boundary?" she said. It was not a question. "Yes," Jathir answered. "They say ships that go in never come back," Velkara said. "Not destroyed, just gone, vanished, like they never existed." "I know," Jathir said. "But look at these readings. Something is there. Something important." Velkara studied the data for a long time. Finally, she smiled. "I know where we can get a ship, and I know someone who might help us." That someone was Torque, a massive Brutarian mercenary with scars covering his gray skin. He was expensive, but Velkara said he could be trusted. When Jathir met him in a dark bar on the edge of the station, Torque listened to the plan with surprising interest. "My grandmother told me stories," Torque said, his voice deep and rumbling. "She was a trader. Before the quarantine, she did business with humans. She said they were strange, always asking questions, always building things, always looking at the stars like they were searching for something." "What happened to them?" Jathir asked. Torque shrugged his massive shoulders. "One day all communication stopped. Every human world went silent at the same time. The council sent investigation ships. None returned. So they created the quarantine and told everyone to forget about the humans." He leaned forward. "But my grandmother never forgot. She said the humans were preparing for something. Something big. I want to know what." The last member of their crew was not alive. At least, not in the traditional sense. In a junk market, Jathir found an old AI core from before the human era. It was damaged but functional. The dealer said it had been a translator unit on trade ships. It might understand human language. Jathir bought it and spent days repairing the circuits. When he finally activated it, a voice emerged from the speakers. It sounded tired. "Systems online. Where am I? What year is it?" "You have been offline for 532 years, Jathir said gently. The AI was silent for a long moment. "The humans. What happened to the humans?" "That is what we want to find out," Jathir said. "Will you help us?" "Yes," the AI said. "Yes, I will help. They were my friends." They named the AI Echo because it remembered voices from the past. Velkara secured a ship. It was old, barely legal, but it had a good engine and strong shields. They loaded their supplies and prepared for the journey. Jathir studied the coordinates from the data crystals. He chose one that seemed safe. A small human colony world on the edge of the domain. The night before they left, Jathir could not sleep. He kept thinking about the warnings, about the ships that never returned. But he also thought about the mystery, about the humans who had vanished without explanation, about the energy readings that should not exist. In the morning, they departed. The journey to the boundary took 3 days. As they got closer, the normal space traffic disappeared. No ships came here. No stations operated in this region. They were alone with the stars. The boundary itself was invisible, but their sensors showed it clearly. A perfect sphere around the human domain. Beyond it, space looked normal, but something felt wrong. Even the stars seemed quieter here. "Last chance to turn back," Velkara said, her hands on the controls. Jathir looked at his crew. Torque checked his weapons. Echo's lights blinked steadily. They had come too far to stop now. "Take us in," Jathir said. The ship crossed the boundary. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every alarm on the ship began screaming at once. Lights flashed. Systems went crazy. Velkara fought with the controls, trying to keep the ship steady. "What is happening?" Torque shouted. Jathir stared at his console in shock. The ship's computer was changing. Lines of code were being rewritten right in front of his eyes. But it was not a virus. It was not an attack. It was an upgrade. "The ship," Echo said, wonder in his artificial voice. "The ship is being improved. I recognize this code. I remember this language." "What language?" Jathir asked. "Human," Echo whispered. The alarm stopped. The lights returned to normal, but everything was different now. The displays showed information in clearer ways. The engines hummed with more power. The sensors reached farther than before. Velkara stared at her controls with wide eyes. The ship is better, faster, I can feel it. What did they do to us? Jathir looked at the viewing screen. Ahead of them, a planet slowly turned in space, the human colony world. It looked peaceful, beautiful, normal, but on his sensors, something else appeared, a message repeating in a loop in a frequency that should not be possible. Welcome to the human domain. We have been waiting. We have always been waiting. Jathir felt a chill run through his body. They were not alone here. Something was watching them, something that knew they were coming, something human. The colony world was called New Haven. According to the old records, 15 million humans had lived here 500 years ago. As their ship descended through the atmosphere, Jathir saw cities spreading across the continents. Buildings reached toward the sky. Roads connected everything in neat patterns. From orbit, it looked like people might still live there. But Echo's sensors told a different story. No heat signatures. No power consumption. No movement. The cities were empty. Velkara landed the ship in what had been a park in the center of the main city. They stepped out carefully, weapons ready. The air was breathable. Humans had made sure of that when they built these colonies. Plants grew everywhere, wild and untamed. Trees pushed through sidewalks. Vines covered buildings. 500 years of growth, Jathir said quietly. They walked into the city. It was like stepping into a frozen moment. A playground with swings still moving slightly in the wind. A cafe with cups still on the tables filled with something that had long since turned to dust. A school with books open on desks as if students had just stepped away for a moment. But there were no bodies. No signs of violence, no indication of what had happened. It is like they just vanished, Velkara said, her voice uneasy. All at once, Torque picked up a child's toy from the ground. A small robot that no longer worked. He held it carefully like it might break. My grandmother said humans loved their children, protected them above all else. What could make them leave like this? Echo's voice came from the communicator on Jathir's belt. I am detecting broadcasts. Faint signals. They are coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. What do they say? Jathir asked. I cannot decode them yet, but they are in human language. They are very old. No, wait. Echo paused. They are old and new at the same time. That should not be possible. They explored more of the city. Every building told the same story. Life interrupted. People gone. Everything left behind. In one apartment, Jathir found a family photo on a wall. 2 adults and 3 children smiling. He wondered what had happened to them. He wondered if they had been afraid. As night fell, they returned to the ship. Jathir could not sleep. He sat in the common area, studying data on his tablet. The ship's upgraded systems were showing him things he had never seen before. Energy patterns in space around the planet. Quantum fluctuations that formed almost like words. Velkara joined him, holding 2 cups of hot drink. She sat down across from him. Have you noticed the ship? She asked. What about it? It keeps improving. While we were out exploring, the power systems upgraded themselves again. We are now running at 400% of our original efficiency. That should be impossible, Jathir nodded slowly. Something is helping us. Something wants us to be stronger here. But why? Before he could answer, Echo's voice filled the ship. I have decoded the broadcasts. You need to hear this. They rushed to the bridge. Torque was already there, having been on watch. Echo played the audio. At first, it was just static. Then, through the noise, voices emerged. Hundreds of voices. Thousands. All speaking at once, but somehow clear. We are still here. Watching. Protecting. Do not be afraid. We remain. The voices faded back into static. Jathir felt his skin prickle. Those were human voices. But humans are gone, Velkara said. Are they? Echo asked quietly. The next morning, they decided to investigate the orbital facilities. Every planet in human space had defense platforms. According to records, these were simple weapon systems. Kinetic missiles. Energy shields. Nothing special, but when they flew into orbit, what they saw was not simple. Massive structures circled the planet. Each one was the size of a small city. They should have been cold and dead after 5 centuries. Instead, they glowed with power. At the heart of each platform was something impossible. A miniature star contained in fields of pure energy, providing unlimited power. How? Velkara whispered. How did humans build this? This technology is centuries beyond what they should have had. Jathir studied the readings. Maybe it is not what they had. Maybe it is what they became. They flew closer to one platform. Up close it was beautiful and terrifying. Weapons of types Jathir had never seen. Shields that bent space itself. And something else. Manufacturing bays. Still active. Still working, Echo, Jathir said slowly. What are those platforms making? Echo ran scans. When he spoke again, his voice shook. Ships, they are making warships. They have been making warships for 500 years. How many? Torque asked. Millions, Echo said. I am detecting millions of ships. In perfect formation. Around this planet. Around every star in the human domain. All waiting. They flew through the fleet. Row after row of warships. Each one was sleek and deadly. Human design but improved. Enhanced. Made for a purpose Jathir could not understand. The ships were dark but sensors showed they could activate at any moment. An army, Velkara said. The humans built an army and left it here. Not left, Echo corrected. Prepared. These ships are not abandoned. They are ready. Waiting for orders. Jathir flew back down to the planet's surface. His mind was racing with questions. They landed near a different city, one that records showed had been a research center. If there were answers anywhere, they would be here. The research facility was deep underground. They had to use their tools to open doors that had been sealed for centuries. Inside, they found laboratories, testing chambers, and at the very center, a command room with computers that somehow still worked. Echo interfaced with the systems. These computers are active, maintained, the data is intact. He paused. There are records here. Video logs, from the last days before the humans disappeared. Show us, Jathir said. The screen flickered to life. A human woman appeared. She looked tired, scared, but also determined. She spoke directly to the camera. My name is Dr. Sarah Chen. If you are watching this, you are inside the human domain. You have broken quarantine. You need to know why we did what we did. The video shifted to show space. Deep space, far beyond any galaxy. Something moved there. Something wrong. It hurt to look at. Shapes that did not follow normal rules. Colors that should not exist. We detected them 15 years ago, Chen's voice continued. We call them the Void Devourers. They exist partially outside our reality. They consume civilizations, not just destroy them. They erase them, from history, from time itself, like they never existed. The video showed more, simulations, calculations, all pointing to one terrible conclusion. The Devourers are coming to this galaxy. They will arrive in 10 years. Maybe less. No conventional weapon can stop them. No normal defense will work. They phase in and out of reality. They attack from dimensions we cannot even perceive. Chen appeared on screen again. Tears ran down her face. We had to make a choice. Die as we are or become something that could fight them. We chose to become more. The video showed massive facilities, computers the size of cities, humans entering chambers, and then change. Project Godhead, Chen said. We uploaded ourselves. Every human. All 800 billion of us. We became digital. We merged our consciousness with quantum computers. We spread ourselves across the entire domain. We became something new, something that exists in multiple dimensions at once, something that can fight the Devourers. The screen showed one last image. Chen no longer crying, no longer afraid. We are still here. We are still human. But we are more now. We are the shield. The guardian. The protector. We fight in the spaces between reality. We hold the line. We have been holding it for 500 years. The video ended. The crew sat in silence. Finally, Torque spoke. They sacrificed everything. Their bodies. Their physical existence. To protect everyone else, and then no one knows, Velkara added. The galaxy thinks they are dead. Jathir stood up. His legs felt weak. The quarantine. It was not to keep us out. It was to give us time. Time to grow stronger without knowing about the threat. Echo's voice was soft. They have been fighting alone. All this time. Suddenly alarms blared. Every sensor on the ship went active at once. Velkara ran to check the displays. Her face went pale. Something is entering normal space. Coming from deep. Something big. On the screen, reality itself began to tear. Through the rips, something pushed through. Something that hurt to see. Something wrong. The Devourers, Jathir whispered. Around them, the human defense platforms came to life. Millions of warships activated, and somewhere in the quantum space between moments 800 billion human minds prepared for battle once more. The tear in space grew larger. Through it, Jathir saw things that made his eyes hurt, shapes that twisted in ways that broke the rules of geometry, colors that his brain could not process properly. The Void Devourers were coming through. "We need to leave," Velkara said, her hands already moving across the controls. "Now." "Wait," Echo said. "The human ships are moving." They watched on the screens as millions of warships broke formation. They moved like a school of fish, perfectly coordinated. Some flew toward the tear in space. Others took up defensive positions around the planet. Still others simply vanished as if stepping sideways out of reality. "How are they doing that?" Torque asked. "They are phasing," Echo explained, "moving between dimensions. The humans are fighting on multiple levels of reality at once." The battle began. It was unlike anything Jathir had ever seen. The human ships fired weapons that bent space, missiles that existed in 4 dimensions at once, energy beams that somehow reached backward in time, and the Devourers fought back with attacks that came from angles that should not exist. "We need to get to Mars," Jathir said suddenly. "Earth's Mars." According to the records, that was where the military headquarters was located. "If there are more answers, they will be there. We cannot leave during this," Velkara protested. "The humans are protecting us," Jathir said. "Look, none of the Devourers are attacking this planet. The human ships are keeping them away. We need to use this time. We need to understand." Velkara cursed in her own language but set course for Earth's solar system. The ship jumped to faster than light speed. The journey would take 6 hours. During the trip, they watched the battle through long-range sensors. The fighting was intense. Human ships were being destroyed. But for every ship lost, the Devourers seemed to lose ground. It was like watching 2 forces that existed in different physics trying to hurt each other. "How long have they been fighting like this?" Velkara asked. 500 years, Echo said quietly. 500 years of constant war. Never resting. Never stopping. And they did it alone. They emerged from faster-than-light travel near Mars. The red planet hung in space, scarred with ancient construction. Massive facilities covered its surface. Some were domed cities, long empty. Others were clearly military installations. The largest facility was built into Olympus Mons, the giant volcano. It was a fortress, a command center, and according to sensors, it still had power. They landed on a platform near the main entrance. The doors opened automatically as they approached, as if the base had been expecting them. Inside, the corridors were clean, preserved, waiting. "This place feels alive," Torque said, his weapon ready. They were right. As they walked deeper into the facility, lights turned on ahead of them. Doors opened at the right times. The base was guiding them somewhere. They reached a massive room. Screens covered the walls from floor to ceiling. In the center was a chair facing all the displays. And standing next to the chair, projected as a hologram, was the woman from the video, Dr. Sarah Chen, except now she looked different. Her image flickered slightly. Sometimes she looked solid. Sometimes she looked like she was made of light and data. "Welcome," she said. Her voice echoed strangely. "I am glad you came. We have been waiting for someone to find us." Jathir stepped forward. You are still here? Still conscious?" Chen smiled sadly. "I am what remains of Sarah Chen. My body died 500 years ago. But my mind, my consciousness, my memories, they continue, uploaded, digital, eternal." She gestured around. "We all continue. All 800 billion of us. Why did you not tell anyone?" Velkara demanded. "Why the quarantine? Why let everyone think you were dead?" "Because you were not ready," Chen said simply. "The younger races of the galaxy. You were still growing, still learning. If we had told you about the Devourers, what would have happened? Panic, chaos, wars over resources as everyone tried to prepare, civilizations falling apart. You needed time to mature, time to become strong. We gave you that time. By fighting alone," Jathir said. Chen nodded. "By fighting alone." "It was the hardest choice we ever made. To protect you, we had to become monsters in your stories. The vanished race. The forbidden zone. Better that than the truth." She waved her hand and the screens came to life. They showed battles. Thousands of battles. Human ships fighting Devourers in deep space. Fights that happened in dimensions Jathir could barely perceive. Some battles the humans won. Others they lost. This is the war we have been fighting, Chen said. The Devourers send scouts. Advance forces. They test the galaxy's defenses. We stop them before they reach your worlds. Before they reach the Council. Before anyone even knows there was a threat. One screen showed a counter. Numbers that kept changing. We have lost 147 billion minds in this war, Chen said quietly. Human consciousness deleted, erased, gone forever. We knew the cost when we chose this path. We paid it anyway. Torque made a sound of pain. So many, why? Why sacrifice so much for other races? Chen looked at him directly. Because that is what humans do. We protect, we defend, even when no one knows. Even when no one thanks us. We stand between the darkness and the light. It is what we have always done. She pulled up more data. Maps showing the galaxy. Marks indicating where Devourer forces had been stopped. There were thousands of marks. Thousands of battles no one knew about. But now something has changed, Chen said. The Devourers are getting stronger. Smarter. They learn from each fight. The assault you saw at New Haven is the largest they have ever attempted. We can hold them, for now. But there will be more. Bigger, stronger. Eventually they will break through our defenses. What are you saying? Jathir asked. I am saying the time for secrets is over, Chen replied. The galaxy needs to know. Your people, the Council, every species, they need to understand the threat. They need to prepare. Because we cannot protect you forever. Velkara stepped forward. What do you need? Weapons, ships, resources. Chen shook her head. No, we need allies. We need others who can fight on multiple levels of reality like we do. We need biological beings who can anchor reality while we fight in quantum space. The Devourers are strong, but they have a weakness. They struggle to exist fully in stable reality. If biological beings are present, fighting alongside us, reality stays firm. The Devourers cannot phase as easily. You want us to fight with you, Torque said. I am asking, Chen said, not demanding. We have carried this burden for 5 centuries. We will continue to carry it if we must, but we should not have to. This is everyone's fight. The Devourers will not stop with one galaxy. If they consume the Milky Way, they will move to the next. And the next? Until everything is gone. She brought up an image. A simulation. It showed the galaxy slowly being erased. Stars winking out. Civilizations vanishing. Reality itself being eaten away. This is what happens if they win, Chen said. No one survives. No one is spared. Every species. Every world. Every dream and hope and story. All of it gone. Erased from time itself. The room was silent. Jathir felt the weight of what he was seeing. His people thought the biggest threats were trade disputes and border conflicts. They had no idea that something was trying to eat reality itself. Show me everything, Jathir said. Every battle. Every loss. Every strategy. I need to understand completely before I take this to the Council. Chen smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine. I was hoping you would say that. The screens filled with information. Chen showed them the nature of the Devourers. How they moved. How they attacked. How they erased their victims from existence. She showed them human tactics. The weapons that worked and the ones that failed. The cost of each victory, hours passed. Jathir absorbed it all. The others watched, learning, understanding. Finally, Chen showed them one more thing. A recording from the early days of the war. It showed human children saying goodbye to their parents, knowing they would never see them again in physical form, knowing their parents were going to become something else. Digital consciousness. Warriors made of thought and light. In the recording, a little girl hugged her mother. Will you still be you? The girl asked. Always, the mother promised. I will always be me. And I will always love you. But I have to go now. I have to keep you safe, the video ended. Jathir felt tears on his face. He did not try to hide them. Every human made that choice, Chen said softly. Every parent. Every child. Every old person and every young person. We all uploaded. We all became soldiers, because the alternative was letting the Devourers win. She looked at Jathir intently. Now you must make a choice. Do you take this knowledge back to your people? Do you tell them the truth? Do you ask them to stand with us? Or do you stay silent and let us continue to fight alone? Before Jathir could answer, alarms blared throughout the facility. Chen's expression changed. Another Devourer force. Bigger than before. They are targeting the Sol system. This system. The screen showed space around Earth. Reality was tearing open. Not in one place, in dozens. The Devourers were coming in force. They know you are here, Chen said. They know we are talking. They want to stop this. They want to keep the rest of the galaxy ignorant. Human ships appeared from all directions. Millions of them. They formed a wall between Earth and the tiers in space. I must go, Chen said. I must fight. But remember this, Jothir of Krylia. You hold the future in your hands now, whatever yo. The battle for Earth's solar system was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Through the windows of the Mars facility, Jothir watched human warships fight enemies that should not exist. The ships moved in patterns that seemed random but were actually perfect coordination. 800 billion minds working as one. The Devourers came through the tiers in space like a flood. They were creatures of nightmare. Some looked like they were inside out. Others seemed to be made of absence itself, holes in reality shaped like monsters. They flickered in and out of existence, attacking from multiple dimensions at once. But the humans were ready. Ships phased in and out of reality, matching the Devourers' movements. Weapons fired that twisted space itself into knots. Missiles that exploded in 4 dimensions at once. Energy beams that somehow struck before they were fired, attacking backward through time. How is this possible? Velkara whispered, watching the screens. They have had 500 years to learn, Echo said. 500 years to adapt to fighting enemies like this. They have become experts at impossible warfare. Torque pointed at one screen. There. That human ship just split into 3 versions of itself. Each one is fighting in a different dimension, but they are all the same ship. Quantum superposition, Echo explained. The ship exists in multiple states at once. Only digital consciousness can coordinate something like that. Biological minds cannot process information that fast. As they watched, a group of Devourers broke through the human defensive line. They headed straight for Mars, for the facility where Jothir and his crew were watching. They are coming for us, Velkara said, already moving toward the ship. We need to go. Wait, Jothir said. Before the Devourers could reach Mars, human ships appeared in their path. Not just a few, thousands. They formed a wall of metal and energy. And then, impossibly, a voice filled the air around them. It came from everywhere and nowhere. It was Chen's voice, but also thousands of other voices speaking in perfect unison. You will not touch them. You will not harm them. They are guests in our domain. They are under our protection. The human ships opened fire. The Devourers tried to phase away, but the humans were faster. They anticipated every movement, matched every dimensional shift. In seconds, the Devourers were destroyed, erased from existence by weapons that unraveled them at the quantum level. Then Chen's voice spoke again, but this time only in the facility. You are safe. We will not let them reach you. Watch, learn, understand what we fight for. The battle continued. Jothir forced himself to watch every moment. He needed to understand. He needed to see what humanity had become. He saw human ships destroyed, entire formations erased as Devourers found weak points in their defenses. Each loss meant dozens of human consciousness deleted forever. Deaths that could never be undone, but he also saw victories. Devourers driven back, tiers in space sealed, reality stabilized. The humans fought with skill born from 5 centuries of constant war. They knew every trick, every tactic, every weakness their enemies had. They are dying for us, Torque said quietly. Right now. In this moment. They are sacrificing themselves to keep us safe. Hours passed. The battle raged on. Finally, the last of the Devourers were destroyed. The tiers in space closed. The system was safe again. Chen's hologram appeared in the facility once more. She looked exhausted. Even as a digital being, the strain of battle showed on her face. We lost 73,000 minds in that fight, she said. They died protecting you, protecting this facility, making sure you could carry our message back to the galaxy. She paused. Was it worth it? Will you help us? Jothir stood up. His decision was made. Yes, I will take your message to the council. I will tell them everything. About the Devourers. About what humanity has done. About what they need to do. Chen smiled, but it was a sad smile. They may not believe you. They may think you are crazy. The quarantine has been in place for 500 years. It has become fact, truth. No one questions it anymore. Then I will make them question it, Jothir said firmly. I will show them the recordings. The data, the evidence. They cannot ignore the truth when it is right in front of them. What if they try to stop you? Velkara asked. Broadcasting information about the quarantine is illegal. They could arrest you, shut you down before you can spread the message. Jathir thought for a moment. Then an idea came to him. We do not tell just the council. We tell everyone. Every species. Every world. We broadcast it across the entire galaxy at once. By the time the council realizes what is happening, it will be too late to suppress it. Chen's eyes widened. That would cause chaos, panic, are you sure? The chaos is already here, Jathir said, gesturing at the screens showing the aftermath of the battle. The panic already exists. It is just hidden behind the quarantine. Better to know the truth and be afraid than to be ignorant and unprepared. Chen nodded slowly. You are braver than I expected, braver than most. She waved her hand and a data crystal appeared on a nearby console. This contains everything. Every battle record. Every piece of evidence. Testimony from thousands of human minds. Mathematical proofs of the Devourer threat. Tactical data on how to fight them. Everything the galaxy needs to know. Jathir picked up the crystal carefully. It felt heavy, though it weighed almost nothing. Heavy with the weight of knowledge. Of responsibility. There is one more thing you should see, Chen said. She brought up a new image on the screens. It showed a map of the galaxy. Marks covered it like stars. Each mark is a battle we have fought, a place where we stopped the Devourers from reaching your worlds. Thousands of battles, tens of thousands, all in secret, all unknown. She zoomed in on one section. Here, 300 years ago, the Devourers were trying to reach the Krillian homeworlds. Your people. We stopped them. You never knew. Your civilization continued peacefully, never knowing how close you came to being erased from existence. Jathir stared at the screen. His home, his people, they had been saved by humans and never knew it. We have done this for every species, Chen said. Every council member, every independent world, every peaceful civilization. We protected them all, because that is what we chose to do. Not for glory, not for thanks, but because it was right, Torque spoke up. My grandmother. She knew, didn't she? That is why she never forgot humans. Why she told me stories, Chen nodded. Some people suspected. Those who paid attention, who noticed patterns, but we could never confirm it. The quarantine had to hold. Until now. Why now? Velkara asked. Why is it time to reveal everything? Because the Devourers are evolving, Chen said grimly. They learn from every encounter. They are getting better at fighting us, stronger, smarter. We can still hold them back, but it is getting harder. Each major assault costs us more. Soon, maybe in 50 years, maybe in 100, we will reach a point where we cannot hold the line alone. We need allies. We need the galaxy to stand with us. That takes time. Time to overcome fear. Time to build trust. Time to train. We cannot wait any longer to begin. She looked directly at Jathir. You asked why we sacrificed everything for other races. Here is the complete answer. Because alone each species falls. But together, united, we can win. Humanity understood this 500 years ago. Now it is time for the rest of the galaxy to understand it too. Jathir held the data crystal tightly. I will not fail you. I will make them listen. I know you will, Chen said. That is why we let you cross the boundary. That is why we improved your ship. That is why we revealed ourselves to you. We have been watching for someone like you. Someone curious enough to search for truth. Someone brave enough to act on it. You chose me? Jathir asked, surprised. We chose to give you a chance, Chen corrected. What you did with that chance was your own choice. And you chose well. She gestured toward the exit. Go now, take our message to the stars. Tell them what we have done. Tell them what we need. Tell them the time for hiding is over. As they walked back to their ship, Jathir looked back at Mars. At the ancient human fortress built into a volcano on a dead world, inside a digital consciousness that used to be Dr. Sarah Chen stood watch over a war that never ended. Thank you, he whispered. He did not know if she heard him. But somewhere in the quantum networks that spread across the solar system, Chen smiled. The crew prepared for departure. As their ship lifted off from Mars, they saw Earth below them. The human homeworld, blue and green and beautiful, empty of biological life but full of digital consciousness. Billions of minds spread across servers and satellites and stations. I wonder what they think about, Velkara said, looking at Earth. All those minds. Do they dream? Do they remember what it was like to be human? They are still human, Echo said softly. They just exist differently now. But their hearts, their courage, their desire to protect others, that never changed. They left the Sol system and jumped to faster than light speed. The journey back to Council space would take 2 weeks. 2 weeks to prepare, 2 weeks to plan how to broadcast the truth. As they traveled, Jathir studied the data crystal. It contained more information than he could process in a lifetime. Battle footage showing the scale of the war. Interviews with human minds who 2 weeks after leaving the human domain, Jathir's ship approached the edge of Council space. They had prepared everything. The broadcast was ready. The data was organized. The evidence was undeniable. But Jathir was still afraid. "Once we send this, there is no going back," Velkara said. She sat at the communications console, her finger hovering over the transmit button. "The Council will come after us. They might charge us with treason." "Let them," Torque said. He stood by the door, his weapon ready as if he could fight the entire galaxy if needed. "The truth is more important than our safety." Echo's voice was calm. "I have analyzed the data 17 times. The evidence is solid. Even the most skeptical minds will not be able to deny it. The galaxy will know what the humans have done." Jathir took a deep breath. He thought about Chen, about the billions of human minds fighting alone in the darkness, about the sacrifices they had made, about the children who said goodbye to their parents 500 years ago. "Send it," he said. "Send it to everyone." Velkara pressed the button. The broadcast went out on every frequency, every channel, every communications network in the galaxy. It reached council chambers and military headquarters. It reached news stations and academic institutions. It reached personal devices on billions of worlds, and it could not be stopped. The broadcast began with the video of Dr. Chen explaining what humanity had done. Then it showed the battles, real footage of humans fighting devourers in the spaces between reality, ships being destroyed, consciousness deleted, 500 years of war in 15 minutes of compressed footage. Then came the evidence, data that proved the devourers were real, mathematical models showing what would happen if they were not stopped, maps showing all the battles humanity had fought in secret, testimony from human minds who had been fighting since the beginning. The broadcast ended with Chen's message to the galaxy. "We are humanity," she said, her digital face looking out at trillions of viewers. "We did not die. We evolved. We became something new so we could protect something old, life, hope, the future. For 500 years we have stood between you and an enemy you never knew existed. We did this not for glory, but because it was right. Now we ask for your help, not your pity. Not your thanks, your help. Because the enemy is getting stronger and we cannot hold them forever.
Stand with us.
Fight with us. Together we can win. Apart we all fall." The galaxy exploded in response. Within hours, every news network was covering the story. Experts argued about whether it was real. Governments called emergency sessions. Religious leaders debated what it meant that humanity had become digital consciousness. Scientists scrambled to analyze the data. Some people did not believe it. They called it a hoax, a trick, propaganda. But more and more evidence kept appearing. Ships that went to the human domain boundary could see the energy readings, could detect the battles happening just beyond the quarantine line. Independent researchers confirmed the mathematical models. The truth could not be denied. 3 days after the broadcast, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. Every member species sent representatives. For the first time in 500 years, they discussed humanity. Jathir was summoned to testify. As he entered the council chamber, he expected to be arrested. Instead, he was escorted to a podium in the center of the room. Thousands of beings from hundreds of species watched him. The council speaker, an ancient Eldarian with gray skin and knowing eyes, spoke first. "Jathir of Krelia, you have broken one of our most sacred laws. You entered the quarantine zone. You have spread classified information across the galaxy. You have created chaos and panic among our populations. What do you have to say for yourself?" Jathir stood tall. "I have revealed the truth, a truth you have kept hidden for 500 years. While we lived in peace, humanity fought and died to protect us. They sacrificed everything, and you let the galaxy forget them. That was wrong." Murmurs filled the chamber. The speaker raised a hand for silence. "We created the quarantine to protect the younger species," the speaker said. "Knowledge of the devourers would have caused chaos, wars, collapse. We gave you peace. We gave you time to grow strong. You gave us ignorance," Jathir countered. "And now the enemy is stronger and we are unprepared. Humanity cannot hold the line forever. What happens when they fall? What happens when the devourers break through and we have no idea how to fight them? The speaker was silent. Around the chamber, council members argued with each other. Some agreed with Jathir. Others called for his imprisonment. The debate raged for hours. Finally, a new voice spoke. It came from the communication system. It was Chen. Members of the council, she said. I am Dr. Sarah Chen. I speak for humanity. We do not blame you for the quarantine. You did what you thought was right. But Jathir is correct. The time for secrets has ended. The devourers are evolving. Soon they will launch their largest assault yet. We need your help. The speaker looked up at the speakers. What exactly are you asking for? Alliance, Chen said simply. Let our species work together. Share our technology. Train your soldiers. Teach your scientists. Build ships that can fight on multiple levels of reality. We will show you how. But we need biological beings to anchor reality while we fight in quantum space. Together we are stronger. Apart we all die. And if we refuse? Another council member asked. Then we continue to fight alone, Chen said, as we have always done. But know this. When we fall, and eventually we will fall, the devourers will come for you, and you will face them alone, unprepared and ignorant. Your choice. The council chamber erupted again. The debate lasted for 3 more days. Finally, a vote was called. It was close. Very close. But in the end, the decision was made. The galaxy would stand with humanity. The council created new laws. The quarantine was officially lifted. Human space was opened for the first time in 5 centuries. Scientists and military personnel from hundreds of species traveled to the human domain to learn, to train, to prepare, and not a moment too soon. 6 months after Jathir's broadcast, the Devourers launched their largest assault ever. They did not target one system. They targeted everywhere. Tiers in space opened across the galaxy. The enemy came in force, trying to overwhelm the defenders through sheer numbers, but they did not face just humanity anymore. The new Alliance fleet was ready. Ships from 100 species enhanced with human technology flew alongside digital human warships. On each ship, biological crews worked with human digital consciousness, anchoring reality, making it stable, making it harder for the Devourers to phase in and out. The battle for the galaxy began. It raged across 1,000 star systems. Jathir, who had been given command of a small fleet, led Krillian ships against Devourers near his homeworld. Beside him, human consciousness guided weapons and coordinated tactics. The combination was powerful, effective. He watched as Krillian soldiers fought alongside digital humans. His people, who had always been peaceful traders, now stood as warriors. They were afraid, but they did not run. They remembered what humanity had done for them. They remembered the debt of gratitude 500 years old. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Species that had never worked together now fought side by side. The council races, the independent worlds, even former enemies united against the common threat. And at the center of it all, humanity fought with everything they had. 800 billion minds coordinating trillions of actions per second, ships that existed in multiple dimensions, weapons that bent reality itself. But the cost was terrible. Biological ships were destroyed by the thousands. Crews died fighting enemies they could barely perceive. And human consciousness was deleted by the millions as the Devourers found new ways to attack digital minds. The battle lasted for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of constant fighting. No rest, no pause, just endless war across the stars. On the 21st day, something changed. The Devourers began to retreat. Not defeated, but driven back. The combined forces of biology and digital consciousness proved too strong. The enemy withdrew through their tiers in space, back to whatever dark realm they came from. The galaxy had won. For now, in the aftermath, the losses were counted. 73 species had lost ships and soldiers. Humanity had lost 8 billion minds. 8 billion pieces of consciousness deleted forever. It was the single largest loss they had suffered in 500 years of war. But they had held the line. Together, Jathir found himself back at Mars, standing in the command center where he had first met Chen. She was there, her hologram looking tired but alive. Around her stood digital representatives of other human minds, the command council that guided their species. You did it, Jathir said. You brought the galaxy together. No, Chen said, smiling. You did it. You told our story. You made them understand. We just provided the reason to fight. What happens now? Velkara asked. She stood beside Jothir along with Torque and Echo, the crew that had started everything. Now we build, Chen said. The Devourers will return, they always do, but next time we will be ready. All of us. Together. She brought up images of new projects, joint bases where biological and digital beings work together, research stations studying Devourer technology, training facilities where soldiers learn to fight in multiple dimensions, ships being built that combine the best of both forms of existence. The human domain.